Okay, tonight is the 1st of August, 2010, and we come to Sutta number 32, Majjhima Nikaya, Mahagosinga Sutta, the greater discourse in Gosinga. Thus have I heard, on one occasion the Blessed One was living in the park of the Gosinga Sala tree wood, together with a number of very well-known elder disciples, the Venerable Sariputta, the Venerable Mahamoggallana, the Venerable Mahakassapa, the Venerable Anuruddha, the Venerable Revata, the Venerable Ananda, and other very well-known elder disciples. Then when it was evening, the Venerable Mahamoggallana rose from meditation, went to the Venerable Mahakassapa and said to him, "Friend Kassapa, let us go to the Venerable Sariputta to listen to the Dhamma." "Yes, friend," the Venerable Mahakassapa replied. Then the Venerable Mahamoggallana, the Venerable Mahakassapa, and the Venerable Anuruddha went to the Venerable Sariputta to listen to the Dhamma. The Venerable Ananda saw them going to the Venerable Sariputta to listen to the Dhamma. Thereupon he went to the Venerable Revata and said to him, "Friend Revata, those true men are going to the Venerable Sariputta to listen to the Dhamma. Let us also go to the Venerable Sariputta to listen to the Dhamma." "Yes, friend," the Venerable Revata replied. Then the Venerable Revata and the Venerable Ananda went to the Venerable Sariputta to listen to the Dhamma. Stop here for a moment. As you all know by now, when the sun sets, the Buddha's disciples, they would normally go to the most senior monk and discuss the Dhamma. So in this case, you see all the famous Arahants, Mahamoggallana, Mahakassapa, Anuruddha, Ananda, Revata, all went to the Venerable Sariputta. It shows that the Venerable Sariputta is considered the Tasasyong, the eldest disciple of the senior most disciple of the Buddha. He usually sits on the Buddha's right hand side, and Venerable Mahamoggallana will sit on the left hand side. These two are the right and left hand disciples of the Buddha. In the suttas, the Buddha always praised the Venerable Sariputta as one of the greatest wisdom of all his disciples. Venerable Sariputta has the greatest wisdom. Also, the Buddha calls him the son of the Dhamma king, the son of the Buddha, in the sense that he turns the Dhamma wheel, the Buddha says, exactly like the Buddha. So everyone had great respect for Venerable Sariputta. But unfortunately, in the later years, because this Venerable Devadatta, he strayed off and he caused a schism of the Sangha. And so the Buddha asked the Venerable Sariputta and the Venerable Moggallana to go and inform the lay people that this Venerable Devadatta is no more a disciple, not considered a disciple of the Buddha anymore. Whatever he says has nothing to do with the Buddha. So because of that, this Devadatta's and his disciples all got very angry with Venerable Sariputta. So from there, you can understand why later books like the Mahayana books, of all the Arahants, they pick on Sariputta and put down Venerable Sariputta, always try to disgrace him as a monk with no psychic power and all these things, and try to belittle his wisdom. For example, in Vimalakirti Sutra, they say that his wisdom is inferior to the Bodhisattvas, Manjushri, and the Vimalakirti. And also because he had no psychic power, this Devi rained down flowers on his robe, he could not even shake it off. So in various other ways they tried to belittle him, but actually he is the most respected of the Buddha's disciples. The Venerable Sariputta saw the Venerable Revata and the Venerable Ananda coming in the distance and said to the Venerable Ananda, let the Venerable Ananda come. Welcome to the Venerable Ananda, the Blessed One's attendant, who is always in the Blessed One's presence. Friend Ananda, the Gosinga Sala tree wood is delightful. The night is moonlit. The Sala trees are all in blossom, and heavenly scents seem to be floating in the air. What kind of monk, friend Ananda, could illuminate the Gosinga Sala tree wood? I'll stop here for a moment. This Venerable Ananda is the Buddha's attendant in the latter half of the Buddha's ministry. Because he served as an attendant to the Buddha very satisfactorily, so the Buddha retained him for a long time as his attendant. Whereas before Venerable Ananda, there were many other attendant monks on attending to the Buddha, but after some time the Buddha will change them. But Venerable Ananda attended to the Buddha the longest. So Venerable Ananda was praised by Venerable Sariputta. So Venerable Sariputta asked Venerable Ananda, what kind of monk could illuminate the Gosinga Sala tree wood? Would be worthy of this Sala, of this wood. And he replied, "Dear friend Sariputta, a monk has learned much, remembers what he has learned, and consolidates what he has learned. Such teachings as are good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end, with the right meaning and phrasing, and which affirm a holy life that is utterly perfect and pure. Such teachings as these he has learned much of, remembered, mastered verbally, investigated with the mind, and penetrated well by view. And he teaches the Dhamma to the four assemblies with well-rounded and coherent statements and phrases for the eradication of the underlying tendencies. That kind of monk could illuminate this Gosinga Sala tree wood." When this was said, the Venerable Sariputta addressed the Venerable Revata thus, "Friend Revata, the Venerable Ananda has spoken according to his own inspiration. Now we ask the Venerable Revata, Friend Revata, the Gosinga Sala tree wood is delightful. The night is moonlit. The Sala trees are all in blossom, and heavenly scents seem to be floating in the air. What kind of monk, friend Revata, could illuminate this Gosinga Sala tree wood?" And he replied, "Dear friend Sariputta, a monk delights in solitary meditation and takes delight in solitary meditation. He is devoted to internal serenity of mind, does not neglect meditation, possesses insight, and dwells in empty huts. That kind of monk could illuminate this Gosinga Sala tree wood." When this was said, the Venerable Sariputta addressed the Venerable Anuruddha, "Friend Anuruddha, the Venerable Revata has spoken according to his own inspiration. Now we ask the Venerable Anuruddha, Friend Anuruddha, the Gosinga Sala tree is delightful. What kind of monk, friend Anuruddha, could illuminate this Gosinga Sala tree wood?" And he replied, "Here, friend Sariputta, the divine eye or heavenly eye, which is purified and surpasses the human, among surveys 1,000 worlds, just as a man with good sight, when he has ascended to the upper palace chamber, might survey 1,000 wheel rims. So too with the divine eye, which is purified and surpasses the human, among surveys 1,000 worlds. That kind of monk could illuminate this Gosinga Sala tree wood." I'll stop here for a moment. So you see these three monks, these three arahants, maybe at that time Venerable Ananda was not yet an arahant. When they were asked what type of monk would do credit to this Gosinga Sala tree wood, each one answered differently. You notice Venerable Ananda, he says, each one of them actually is speaking of the ideal monk according to them. The Venerable Ananda says that this monk, he has learned much, remembered, mastered verbally, investigated with the mind, and penetrated well by view the teachings of the Buddha, the Dhamma. And he teaches the Dhamma to the four assemblies. So this actually is a characteristic of Venerable Ananda. He is he has learned much. When you say learn much means he has learned much of the Dhamma, the Buddha's Dhamma. Sometimes they say he has heard much of the Buddha's Dhamma, and then remembered, and then mastered verbally. That means can repeat. During the Buddha's time there were no books, so they had to repeat the suttas to transmit from one disciple to another. Investigated with the mind and penetrated well by view, that means understood. And then having understood, he teaches the Dhamma to others. So that is the ideal monk, according to Venerable Ananda. And he himself lives up to that ideal. Then the next monk is Venerable Revata. This Venerable Revata is a monk who likes to live in seclusion and meditate all the time. That's why he says the ideal monk, according to him, delights in solitary meditation and takes delight in solitary meditation. He is devoted to internal serenity of mind, does not neglect meditation, and possesses insight, and dwells in empty huts. That means his ideal is a monk who dwells in lonely places and meditates all the time and takes delight in solitary meditation. This is exactly what he does. And the third monk is Venerable Anuruddha. Venerable Anuruddha says to him, the ideal monk is one who has attained the heavenly eye, divine eye, and with that he can survey 1,000 world systems. Each world system consists of one sun, one solar system. So his mind has expanded so much, he can see 1,000 worlds like in the palm of his hand. So that is his ideal, and Venerable Anuruddha is exactly like that. When this was said, the Venerable Sariputta addressed the Venerable Mahakassapa thus: Friend Kassapa, the Venerable Anuruddha has spoken according to his own inspiration. Now we ask the Venerable Mahakassapa: Friend Kassapa, the Gosinga Sala tree wood is delightful. What kind of monk, friend Kassapa, could illuminate this Gosinga Sala tree wood? And he answered: Hear, friend Sariputta, a monk is a forest dweller himself and speaks in praise of forest dwelling. He is an alms food eater himself and speaks in praise of eating alms food. He is a refuse rag wearer himself and speaks in praise of wearing refuse rag robes. He is a triple robe wearer himself and speaks in praise of wearing the triple robe. He has few wishes himself and speaks in praise of fewness of wishes. He is content himself and speaks in praise of contentment. He is secluded himself and speaks in praise of seclusion. He is aloof from society himself and speaks in praise of aloofness from society. He is energetic himself and speaks in praise of arousing energy. He has attained to virtue himself and speaks in praise of attainment of virtue. He has attained to concentration himself and speaks in praise of the attainment of concentration. He has attained to wisdom himself and speaks in praise of the attainment of wisdom. He has attained to deliverance or liberation himself and speaks in praise of the attainment of deliverance. He has attained to the knowledge and vision of deliverance himself and speaks in praise of the attainment of the knowledge and vision of deliverance. That kind of monk could illuminate this Gosinga Sala tree wood. I'll stop here for a moment now. So here you see, Venerable Mahakassapa, his ideal monk practices so many things. One, he's a forest dweller. He likes to live in the forest. And then secondly, he's an alms food eater. He only begs for his food. He refuses to go to lay people's house to eat. Every day he goes to beg for his food. And then he's a refuse rag wearer himself. That means he picks up the cloth from the either the what is discarded, what is thrown by people. So either it can be maybe by the roadside or from the rubbish bin or from the cemetery. Because during the Buddha's days, or maybe even up to now, when somebody dies, they wrap him in cloth, wrap him in perhaps white cloth, and then they would throw the corpse up in the what they call the charnel ground, kind of cemetery, and there the body would rot, and animals would come and eat. So when these monks who wear refuse robes, they will go and pick up this cloth, and usually the cloth will be stinking, smelly of the corpse, and they have to wash it, put it in the sun, and continually wash it and put it in the sun until the smell goes away. And they cut it into pieces and sew the robe. That's why the monk's robe, when you look in the monk's robe, it has this pattern like this paddy field. It consists of small pieces of cloth sewn together. So there are monks like him. You refuse to accept robes from lay people. You only look for discarded, thrown away cloth, which you will use and sew into a robe. That is called the Pangsukula robe, refuse rag robe. And then he has fewness of wishes, very few things that he wants, very few things. Because of that, he's contented. And then secluded, likes to live in secluded places. And then aloof from society. Even if he has to live in a monastery with other monks, he's aloof from other monks. Will not want to talk with other monks. Like some people in our monastery, Chakapanya. And then energetic, always putting forth effort to keep his mind recollected. Sati is always remembering our meditation object. Whether it is remembering the breath, observing the breath, or chanting or whatever, Sati is always remembering to keep your attention, your mindfulness there, instead of straying out to the six senses. There's energetic. Attain to virtue, he keeps the precepts or the rules in the Vinaya books for a monk. And then attain to concentration, has attained the jhanas. Attain to wisdom. He understands the Four Noble Truths and the other dharmas. Attain to deliverance, he has attained liberation, has become arahant. So according to Venerable Kassapa, that is the ideal monk. You notice of all the monks, he has a long list here. When this was said, the Venerable Sariputta addressed the Venerable Mahamoggallana thus: Friend Moggallana, Venerable Mahakassapa has spoken according to his own inspiration. Now we ask the Venerable Mahamoggallana: Friend Moggallana, the Gosinga Sala tree wood is delightful. What kind of monk, friend Moggallana, could illuminate this Gosinga Sala tree wood? And he answered: Here, friend Sariputta, two monks engaged in a talk on the higher Dhamma, and they question each other, and each being questioned by the other answers without foundering, and their talk rolls on in accordance with the Dhamma. That kind of monk could illuminate this Gosinga Sala tree wood. Stop here for a moment now. This Venerable Moggallana is the monk with the greatest psychic power. So when he's asked what kind of monk could illuminate this Gosinga Sala tree wood, instead of saying the monk with all types of psychic power, he says, surprisingly, he says the monk who can discuss Dhamma and can answer Dhamma without foundering, without wavering, without doubt, and can continue to talk on the Dhamma. So that also shows that he is very knowledgeable in the Dhamma. That's why he can teach other monks. When this was said, the Venerable Mahamoggallana addressed the Venerable Sariputta thus: Friend Sariputta, we have all spoken according to our own inspiration. Now we ask the Venerable Sariputta: Friend Sariputta, the Gosinga Sala tree wood is delightful. The night is moonlit. The Sala trees are all in blossom, and heavenly scents seem to be floating in the air. What kind of monk, Sariputta, friend Sariputta, could illuminate this Gosinga Sala tree wood? And Venerable Sariputta replied: Here, friend Moggallana, a monk wields mastery over his mind. He does not let the mind wield mastery over him. In the morning, he abides in whatever abiding or attainment he wants. he wants to abide in during the morning. At midday, he abides in whatever abiding or attainment he wants to abide in at midday. In the evening, he abides in whatever abiding or attainment he wants to abide in during the evening. Suppose a king or a king's minister had a chest full of variously colored garments. In the morning, he could put on whatever pair of garments he wanted to put on in the morning. At midday, he could put on whatever pair of garments he wanted to put on at midday. In the evening, he could put on whatever pair of garments he wanted to put on in the evening. So too, a monk wields mastery over his mind. He does not let the mind wield mastery over him. In the morning, at midday, in the evening, he abides in whatever abiding or attainment he wants to abide in. That kind of monk could illuminate this Gosinga Sala tree wood. Stop here for a moment. So, Venerable Sariputta says his ideal is the monk who has complete mastery over the mind, and he can abide in whatever abiding or attainment he wants at any time of the day or night. So, actually, Venerable Sariputta, although he does not have psychic power, he has all the jhanas. Unfortunately, later books, they say that he was enlightened by wisdom and that they assume that he did not have any jhanas. But in the later one of the suttas in this Nikaya, Majjhima Nikaya, you will see that he has attained all the 4 rupa jhanas, all the 4 arupas, and I think even cessation of perception and feeling, I think in the Sutta 111. So that's why he has complete mastery over his mind. That's why he has the greatest wisdom of all the monks, disciples of the Buddha. But in spite of that, having attained all the jhanas and having complete mastery over his mind, he does not have psychic power. Psychic power for some monks, when they attain the jhanas, it comes naturally, but for some of them, it does not come naturally. But somebody like Venerable Sariputta, since he has all the jhanas, if he wanted to cultivate psychic power, he could easily attain psychic power. But because somebody like him has already become an arahant, he has no more self, no more ego, so he has no desire to become famous or anything, so he's not bothered with psychic power. Then the Venerable Sariputta addressed those Venerable ones thus: Friends, we have all spoken according to our own inspiration. Let us go to the Blessed One and report this matter to him. As the Blessed One answers, so let us remember it. Yes, friend, they replied. And those Venerable ones went to the Blessed One, and after paying homage to him, sat down at one side. The Venerable Sariputta said to the Blessed One, Venerable Sir, the Venerable Revata and the Venerable Ananda came to me to listen to the Dhamma. I saw them coming in the distance and said to the Venerable Ananda, Let the Venerable Ananda come. Welcome to the Venerable Ananda, etc. Friend Ananda, the Gosinga Sala tree wood is delightful. What kind of monk, friend Ananda, could illuminate this Gosinga Sala tree wood? When asked, the Venerable Ananda replied, Here, friend Sariputta, a monk has learned much, etc., etc. And so here, instead of reading everything, Venerable Sariputta just repeated what each of the other monks said. So what was read earlier is all repeated here. So he repeated everything up to Venerable Mahamoggallana's reply. When that was said, the Venerable Mahamoggallana told the Blessed One, Then, Venerable Sir, I addressed the Venerable Sariputta thus, Friend Sariputta, etc., etc. What kind of monk could illuminate this Gosinga Sala tree wood? And the Venerable Sariputta replied, Here, friend Moggallana, a monk wields mastery over his mind. He does not let the mind wield mastery over him. In the morning, in the midday, and in the evening, he abides in whatever abiding or attainment he wants to abide in, etc. And the Buddha said, Good, Moggallana. Sariputta, speaking rightly, should speak just as he did. For Sariputta wields mastery over his mind. He does not let the mind wield mastery over him. In the morning, he abides in whatever abiding or attainment he wants to abide in during the morning. At midday, he abides in whatever abiding or attainment he wants to abide in at midday. In the evening, he abides in whatever abiding or attainment he wants to abide in during the evening. When this was said, the Venerable Sariputta asked the Blessed One, Venerable Sir, which of us has spoken well? And the Buddha replied, You have all spoken well, Sariputta, each in his own way. Hear also from me, what kind of monk could illuminate this Gosinga Sala tree wood? Hear, Sariputta, when a monk has returned from his alms round, after his meal, he sits down, folds his legs crosswise, sets his body erect, and establishing mindfulness in front of him, resolves, I shall not break this sitting position until, through not clinging, my mind is liberated from the taints. That kind of monk could illuminate this Gosinga Sala tree wood. That is what the Blessed One said. Those Venerable Ones were satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. That's the end of the sutta. So here, you see the Buddha's ideal is a monk with extreme determination, utmost determination. So when he sits down, he will not stop sitting until his mind is liberated. That was exactly what the Buddha did on the night of enlightenment. He had struggled for 6 years and he was tired of that struggle already. He decided to sit down, and if he does not become, he will sit until he becomes enlightened, or he will die there sitting. So because of his great determination, then he became enlightened. And also the time was ready after he had finished all his work. So this thing we have to remember that our determination, whatever we want, determination is extremely important. The problem is for most people, we have too many desires. When we have too many desires, our energy is scattered over so many desires, so we can't really succeed. But somebody like the Buddha, he has only one aim in mind, to become enlightened, nothing else. So all his energy goes towards that, and then he becomes enlightened. I remember there's one sutta somewhere I read that the Buddha said, when a person's mind is so determined, even the devas cannot obstruct him. So you see, that's what happened with the Buddha. He was so determined to become enlightened that Mara tried to obstruct him so many times. Also Mara could not succeed.